Wife, 36F, forces an open marriage. After I, 38M, started dating, she wants to add more rules. What would you do in my position? 2.5 years ago my wife Sarah, 36F, asked me to open our marriage. She strongly implied the alternative was divorce. After thinking it through I said yes, primarily because we do have 2 children, I worked long hours and divorce sounded horrible. So I set up some ground rules. Not bringing dates into our house, no dating mutual friends, acquaintances, family members, collages, keeping things private. For the next 2 years I focused on my job and on my kids. I worked long hours, little free time I devoted to my kids. I didn't have the time for dating, so I wasn't even trying. I moved to another room because the thought of Sarah having sex with another man, then sleeping in my bed felt horrible. Our relationship became purely transactional. We became partners at raising kids. I didn't want to know anything about her sex life. This summer I managed to fulfill my financial goals. I do not have any debt whatsoever. Both of my kids have enough money in their college fund, and all I have to do is to keep adding some savings every month into the fund I made for their first home deposits. So I did some math and decided to cut my work from 74 hours to just 30 per week. Sarah wanted to get indebted again to buy another house and a new car. I said no. I used my free time to finally have a vacation I really needed, took older son with me to tour US together. Did some renovation work on our house, turned basement into man cave. Started working out, play sports, leading a healthier life. Then I actually started trying to land a date. For me, just having sex with somebody is not my thing. I want to at least be a friend before that. To go out together, watch movies, have fun and have sex. So I dated a couple of women and found a Jane with whom I clicked. With Jane I was going out to concerts, art galleries, comic cons, movies. And we would boink too. Sarah wanted to talk about my dates. I said no. Then I caught Sarah snooping through my phone and we had a very strongly worded argument. Now Sarah wants to update the terms of our open marriage. She wants us to repair our marriage by going to the counselor. She wants us to sleep in the same room, to go outside and have fun together. Our outside of marriage relationships are to be strictly sexual and nothing else. And we are to talk about our sexual partners. I told her that I am content with the situation as it is, and I don't mind if she finds a partner to go out with. I encouraged her to. And I don't want to talk about our partners. She is holding her ground. At this point I'm split between trying to fix our marriage and handing her the divorce papers. I need an advice, guys. TLDR, after opening our marriage and me starting to date, wife wants to change the rules. Several people asked for an update on my previous post. So here it is. Me and my wife Sarah had 2 sessions with couple counselor. Counselor was being very dedicated and professional, however Sarah kept making demands which felt very unreasonable and unfair. She wants to keep an open relationship which is only about sex. She doesn't want to find a job and keep working. She wants us to buy a new house. In every variation she stubbornly wasn't to have 2/3 of these things. Today during the counseling she threatened divorce. After counseling she said counselor was taking my side and wanted to change to another counselor. Although I think counselor was just trying to be fair and find a compromise. I had a talk with the lawyer and started divorce proceedings. She will get the papers in a couple of days. I will give her 2 months to start earning on her own. After that I'm not giving any money whatsoever to her anymore. P.S. I just wanted to add that I only started working 74 hours a week after she decided to open our marriage. Before that I was working around 50 hours a week. Wasn't spending my time at bars and clubs either, helped with chores as much as I could, and I was being home and available every weekend.
My husband is in love with his student. I have no idea what to do. My husband and I, both 35 RN, met in college. We fell in love and got married 8 years ago. I gave birth to our daughter in 2020. My husband is a professor at this med school. He's a doctor himself. My friend, Sarah, also works in the same college, and she's in the same department as my husband. A few months back, in December, Sarah took me out for lunch and told me that she suspected something's going on between my husband and this med student, 25F. She claimed she'd seen both of them give yearning looks to each other. She said that she's known my husband for so long, and she'd never seen him talk to any other woman like this, that he'd been so aloof around women all these years, but it's just different with this one girl. In that moment, I had laughed in her face. I remember telling her that she's jumping to conclusions based on these supposed yearning looks. That's why I didn't tell you before, she had said. I was confused too. It's not like he goes out of his way to talk to her, but whenever they do talk, it's like watching a slow-burn romance movie. She looks at him like he's Brad Pitt, and he looks at her the way he used to look at you. I remember the exact words because they stung. Internally, I was breaking down. Externally, I just smiled and told her that she's probably overthinking. That night, I casually mentioned this to my husband. I was laughing at the absurdity, and I expected him to join in and deny the wild possibility that he's in love with a student. But he didn't. Instead, he looked at me, all teary-eyed, and said, "I'm sorry. I can't get her out of my mind. I've tried, trust me. I should have told you sooner. But I thought I could save our relationship, I really wanted to." I asked him if he'd cheated on me. He said no. He said he didn't even talk to her, nor did they have any contact outside of college, and that he completely understood how morally depraved it is to try and pursue a relationship with a student. She wrote him a letter about a year back, confessing her love for him, and he had told her that even though he was into her, nothing would come out of it. Apparently, that was when the yearning looks had started. I honestly don't remember how I reacted then. I think I just started packing and came to live with my parents along with my daughter. I've been living with my parents since then. Half of me wanted him to come and beg for forgiveness. But he never did. He comes by sometimes to spend time with our daughter, but that's it. He never talks about the elephant in the room, nor do I bring it up. I keep checking that girl's social media. She's insanely beautiful, almost doll-like, and intelligent. I can't help but think that someone like him should be with someone like her. He's always been very good-looking, and I'm more of a plain Jane. She's the Meredith to his Derek. I don't know what to do. What do I even tell people? I don't even know who I am without him. Some part of me still wants him to come back. TLDR, husband just admitted that he's in love with this young woman who is also his student. She loves him too. For those who don't want to read the boring details, in short, I have decided to go ahead with the divorce. Long story, the day I made the post, I met up with Sarah for dinner. I thanked her for telling me about my husband and the student, and also for being such a good friend. I asked her about my husband. She said there's nothing unusual. He's been a bit withdrawn and aloof with everyone lately, but that's about it. Yesterday I went over to my house unannounced. He was there alone in his office. I told him I wanted to talk. He said he'll explain everything. So apparently this woman has had a crush on him for 2 years, her friends ship her with him. She would stare at him during her rotations and would blush whenever he looked or talked to her. Back then, he didn't think much of it. Many girls have had crushes on him, and he always ignored it. About 1.5 years back, they were in the same research group thing. I don't know how this works, but there were 5 to 6 people along with these two. Because of this, they had to spend some time together working, and it was then that he started noticing her. He went into detail about how he was impressed with her intelligence and her beauty. The moment he realized that he had a crush on her, he dropped out of the research thing. This was a year ago. A few weeks later, she gave him a letter confessing that she has feelings for him. The first thing he told her after reading it was, "You can get into trouble because of this." She didn't care. She wanted an answer. "Is it all in my head?" she had asked, to which he replied with, "It's not just in your head, but nothing can come out of it. I hope you understand." That was the last time they interacted. According to him, the yearning looks Sarah described were more of awkward eye contacts than anything else. He told me that even though he is still attracted to her, he has no intention of pursuing any sort of relationship with her regardless of whether we stay together or not. He said he's willing to change his job and go to therapy. I told him to give me some time to think about it. To sum up, this has been going on for 3 years. Not once did he mention anything to me. The student and him spent a considerable amount of time last year working on the research. He told her he liked her back. He's still very much attracted to her. And that's why I've decided to go ahead with a divorce. I don't think I can trust this man again. And a relationship without trust isn't something I am interested in. I've told my parents about it. They're not exactly on board, but they're still supportive. I've also contacted my lawyer about the same. It's going to be a long process, I believe.
Pretty sad situation for the two of them. Pretty understandable for the wife not to want to continue without trust. Trust is one of the most valuable things that can fuel a loving relationship. If you guys found this entertaining, leave a like. Also, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment as well. What was your favorite story? Have a fantastic day.